I still vividly remember the day in 1988 when I went down to Yonge Street in the old Sam the Record Man to buy Public Enemy's It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back. For me, that was such a transformative record, in that it opened me up into the Black Power movement and the more militant side of the Civil Rights era, especially the Black Panther Party and the role that the Black Panther Party played in terms of articulating and galvanizing what Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee had started in the early 60s that really evolved and matured into something more challenging in the latter 60s and early 70s. So it was of great interest that I discovered this book, The Savage City, by T.J. English, that I've really quite enjoyed as a really interesting, quite well documented depiction of New York City in the 60s and early 70s, both in terms of the race relations, but also in terms of the urban culture as a whole. Explicitly, it talks about a number of key figures, both in terms of civil rights as well as the Black Power movement, but also gives insight from some of the New York police and the culture of the police department at the time. It really is a gripping tale of a world that many, especially those like me who arguably weren't alive at the time, were never really familiar with, that we see caricatures of in terms of popular culture. But the reality is not so much shocking, but eye-opening in terms of understanding, on the one hand, how far we've come, but also how far we need to go in terms of creating the type of society we'd like to live in. So for those of you who are interested in good story, a good bit of history, I encourage you to check out The Savage City by T.J. English. An excellent book to read.